The grand finale of the pâtissier world, who died in a tragic accident before the chosen one meets him, the goddess of the tournament feels her remorse and reincarnates him in another world. Bake the Lord's son with this second chance in this magical world and the creation of sweets that make people smile when they aim to use their skills. The Straw Hat Pirates and their friends are playing on the beach when Lumi comes running in and tells him that he has some very important news about Luffy. Stay long. He describes her as an attractive woman older than Luffy, and with a very slim body, mentioning how she treats Luffy, wearing it like a ring on her finger, want to take him to his favorite place in the kitchen. He cooks all the sweets. He loves this kitchen. His dream workshop. Like Chorus is amazed by it, and seems to love this place. He will watch it next time we move. Enters with enthusiasm. 4. Mubarak is seen with his aide at Hubarak Castle, where his aide informs him that Miss Petra has been sent to the capital to gain the trust of the Duke family, but they wonder what the purpose of sending Licorice to the region of death is planning things in the shadows, and has plans related to her future son-in-law. He mentions that this intelligent woman has realized the potential of Mortlin Province. Hubrick suddenly invites him to a tea ceremony, and it's clear that he has some intentions involving this invitation. He sends Miss Licorice to Mortal, and to accompany him during the ceremony. As for the cunning woman, it will be difficult for her to approach Mr. Luffy with his fiancé present. Mubarak also has a paternal desire to move his daughter to a safer place to protect her from harm. He then asks his assistant about their neighbors in Luterat, and Mubarak suspects that they will receive news about the Duke's engagement with open arms. The focus returns to Luffy and Licorice in the kitchen. Licorice watches Luffy enthusiastically as he prepares samples for a new gift. He wants to bring these gifts to the tea party hosted by Count Ridish. Luffy continues preparing his sweets by putting a pot on the fire, adding sugar and then some water. Like Chorus looks at the fruits on the table and recognizes the bonka fruit. So Best told her that the bonka can only be obtained in the capital city as it's very expensive and rare. He had to save up his allowance for months in advance to allow his father to buy the bunker. Then she asked him about what he was doing on the fire. Bess replied that she would know when he's done with it. He flipped it on the fire multiple times until a beautiful aroma emerged from it, which they both enjoyed. Then Bess added honey to it, filling the air with a delightful scent. It was undoubtedly a type of sweet treat. Bess asked her to wait, promising that she would be amazed when Bess finished crafting it on the fire. He poured it onto a plate. This was the most challenging part, as he had to pour a little of it everywhere on the plate. As he finished pouring, Bess seemed very excited about this confectionery. It was definitely beautiful and pristine. Then Bess explained that this sweet treat is called skaker, and it looked like glass. Finally Bess added the finishing touch, molding it as he liked. The first time he shaped it into a cat, the second into a dog, the third into a rabbit, the fourth into an airplane, and the last into the shape of a peony flower. But of course Licorice didn't know what an airplane looked like, as it didn't exist in their world. Then Best spoke about the importance of shaping the scar after it had slightly solidified. If it remained melted, the design would be ruined, thus it was essential to work on it at the right time. Licorice remarked that Bess was very mysterious. She had seen many expressions on his face before, but this was a new one, gentle, innocent, and confident, a mix of everything. Best presented all his sweets, and then asked Licorice if there was something wrong with them. She told him that everything was perfect, and that she didn't want to ruin the food's beauty by eating it. Bess insisted that she should eat it because that was Scar's purpose, but Licorice refused to eat it because she admired its appearance, and wanted to keep it because Bess's mother and friends were watching her. Her mother angrily wondered why Bess are they not aggressive towards the Lakers, considering they are approaching. And then the young boy asked them not to talk too much, so that Bess would not hear them, and Lumi said that Bess was making something delicious, and they all went to see her, and they saw Bess making sweets, and sprinkling sugar on the apples. Bess was pleased with its refreshing taste after getting used to the sweet taste, and explained that the main attraction of this dessert was its pleasant balance. And Licorice happily remarked that it was delicious in a different way from eating bunka alone. Later Best tried to open the door, and accidentally bumped into his mother. Best questioned why they were standing there, and his mother explained that she had work to do, and wanted them to leave quickly. As Best left, his friends rushed to the sweets, but he grabbed the plate, and didn't let them taste it, planning to give it to his father and Chits. The next morning Chits talked to K-Soul about the young boy, who arrived as the guardian. K-Soul stated that a beginner like Nicolo could age, handle the matter. This episode held significance with important Individuals present leading to a social gathering Tits informed K-Soul that they were discussing countries. When asked why Bess couldn't handle his own matters, Chits revealed that he worried more for La Kurish. Chits mentioned that Kiera would accompany her, though she didn't enjoy social gatherings. Chits hoped she wouldn't attempt to demean Kiera's intelligence. Finally, Bess arrived at the palace, and was surprised to find numerous sweets on the table impressing Licorice. She explained that the lady present was known for Rich Vale Castle, one of the greatest in the south, also called the Pirate's Castle due to its proximity to the sea. Bess engaged in self-dialogue imagining sweets everywhere. The lady then informed Bess that he was her companion's betrothed Licorice, and advised him to remain attentive and vigilant. Bess apologized for not noticing her earlier. As he looked to his left, he saw a portrait of Count Richelieu. He recalled drawing that picture on a handkerchief, but never expected it to be displayed in such a and setting. He realized that this was somewhat intentional, and Count Richelieu seemed to be planning something significant. At that moment, a large man arrived, and warmly welcomed Bess, expressing honor in his presence. Bess was told that Count Richelieu's happiness required him to show respect and esteem when meeting Bess. The man also mentioned that Bess was a very important person, and they were keeping a close watch on him at that moment. Bess was intrigued by the peculiar statement. He pondered to himself that this was a great opportunity to promote Morteln's specialized expertise. Bess introduced his fiancée Licorice Mille Morteln, who hadn't attended such noble gatherings before. She agreed to accompany him as she always enjoyed exploring new places. Licorice warmly welcomed everyone and introduced herself. Bess then introduced the man as Quaten Engels. Quaten loudly announced Bess and Licorice to the audience, hoping for an enthusiastic reception due to Bess's young age but remarkable intelligence. Quentin had brought a sizable gift, considering it fitting for the tea time. He believed these small confections, called sukakar, would complement the tea well as they tasted and savored the treats. Everyone was amazed by their beauty and taste. Even Quaten tried one, and was thoroughly impressed, laughing and seemingly indulging in a flood of sweetness. The scent was sweet and gentle, filling the air and soothing the tea. Everyone was content while drinking tea. Bess then informed them that these samples were free, but those interested could purchase more through traveling merchants at an attractive price. However, Bess had one request: that these traders wouldn't have to pay taxes on the sugar, as the taxes on sugary goods were exorbitant. At that moment, Count Richelieu entered, welcoming Bess. Upon hearing the offer, she found it very tempting, and thanking all for attending the modest meeting, expressed his joy at meeting the Earl at last, who then asked if Licorice was Bess's bride, and affirmed that he was pleased to recognize his country. The Bess claimed that he was only talking about gifts, and Richelieu asked for a private interview, which revealed that the matter was related to the negotiations between Bess's family and the dead family, as a result of which the young lady insisted on staying there for a while. He asked Quentin to introduce him to Licorice. Although Licorice is worried at first, it is very respectful, and the Morteln family, which ultimately required the young lady to stay there for a while. She asked Quaten to introduce Licorice to her with the utmost respect, although Licorice was initially anxious and held Bess's, and he assured her that there was no need to worry. Bess then left with Count Richelieu to a private chamber, where she informed him that she was the leader of Richvale province. Bess asked the lady, "Do you think I will be coerced, Your Excellency?" She confirmed that indeed he would have been compelled if it weren't for the fact that she had arranged for guards that were 10 times the number present. She explained that a handful of guards was nothing against a wielder of magic. Bess thought to himself, "Don't show me any signs of weakness at all." She further mentioned that she was just Count Richelieu, then informed Bess that the flavor was honey. Bess was surprised by her knowledge, and explained that it was indeed made from water, sugar, and honey. He hoped that they could eventually produce all the ingredients in Morteln. She was surprised, as Bess was referring to producing honey and sugar in Morteln. He speculated that they could potentially produce these confections in large quantities within 3 years. The lady was taken aback, thinking sarcastically about them producing such treats in the Baronel, and however she knew it might be possible. Bess explained that since she possessed a harbor, he had hoped for her support in this endeavor. He had used an indirect approach to bring up the matter. She realized that Bess was meticulous in his observations. As usual, she pondered if it was even feasible, but wondered if his goal was something much more significant in the future. She agreed to provide all the assistance she could, but solely regarding these confections. Bess was thrilled, and thanked her. She thought to herself, "Your future will be in my hands." Returning to the gathering, an assistant of Count Richelieu remarked that Mr. Best seem to be the talk of the event. It's clear that he has gained many new admirers, and he's confident that he will forge some new connections. From this occasion, Karara Bess's fiancé expresses astonishment at these words. Best excuses himself from the conversation, and leaves. As he departs, Karara approaches, and advises her to ignore them, emphasizing that the young man accompanying her isn't worth listening to. She overhears someone mentioning that Mr. Bess's fiancé is Margrave Hoberic's daughter, hailing from the esteemed family of the East. Feeling uncomfortable in such situations, Karara walks away. She had come under the assumption that Bess would be accompanying her. The young man approaches her, and asks if she'd like something to drink. She replies that she just wants to return home. Meanwhile, Bess is with Count Richley. Bess expresses his pleasure in working with her, and she reciprocates the sentiment. Bess wonders about country's commercial relationships, thinking that her support could be more beneficial than he anticipated. He's getting closer to mass producing the confections. Count Richley remarks that his charming fiancé heard that he protected her during the abduction incident, and she might have developed feelings for him. Bess expresses uncertainty about that. Count Richelieu adds that she seems very suitable for the next ruler of Mortling. Bess retorts that no man could complain about having lay chorus as their life partner. Count Richelieu is delighted by Bess's precociousness. He asks her about her true feelings for him, and he, too ashamed to admit his love, holds her hands and tells her his true feelings. Ends a confession, but before he can answer, his bride suddenly enters the scene, and sees him holding a Bess guesses the woman and Bess's husband are hugging, which the malicious woman is shocked to discover that she orchestrated the whole situation.